Hi guys. I'm Ashley, and this is sweet little Lainey Lou. She is zonked. It took us about an hour to get here, and get her asleep so that we could record this. So hopefully we can do this in a timely manner. But I just wanted to share with you guys, as I asked last week on Facebook and Instagram, if you guys were interested in hearing my birth story, our birth story, I guess you could say. So a lot of you guys messaged me or commented and said yes, you would. So here it is. I'm gonna start with kind of how many weeks I was pregnant, and then I did tell you guys I got induced. So I'm just gonna start from the very beginning of finding out that it was time to get ready to have her. So let's see. Today she is 2 weeks old. How are you 2 weeks already? I don't know. But she is 2 weeks old today. So let's see. I was 40 weeks and 3 days when I had my. Okay, scratch that. I was 40 weeks and 2 days when I went in for my doctor's appointment. And I had to go in the week before for some extra blood testing, or blood work testing done, because I was swelling really bad in my face and hands and feet. I knew hands and feet were kind of normal, but not so much in the face. So just to make sure that it wasn't preeclampsia or anything like that, we got some extra blood work done. Everything looked okay from the blood work, and my blood pressure was okay as well. So fast forward to my next appointment, which was on the following Monday. I had to get the stress test done and monitors hooked up, just because I was past 40 weeks at that point. And my everything was going really well with baby. Movements were great, everything like that. But my blood pressure was higher than usual. It was like 140/90 or something like that. So that I didn't really know what that meant at that point, but so I went to the follow-up room after we had all the tracking done on the monitors with her and stuff like that. And the doctor comes in a couple minutes later, and she's like, so do you want to be induced tonight or tomorrow? And I was like, should I call my husband? Because at these appointments since COVID, Joel hasn't been able to come with me. So I'm sitting there like, I mean, I knew this was coming because I'm over 40 weeks and baby could be here anytime, but was I prepared for that? Not really. So she was like, well, let me see what we have available, and we'll just know you're either getting induced tonight or tomorrow. So I was like, all right. Oh, you okay? Is my voice too loud? I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. It's daytime naps. But anyways, so she comes back and she says, okay, tomorrow night, 6 p.m., just because your blood pressure's increasingly getting higher, I might as well get the baby out. So I, at that point, just agreed. I didn't know what else to do, so I said, okay. I'm not gonna lie, pretty scared to get induced, because I didn't have a birth plan per se, but I had an ideal birth in my head. As I think we all do, I did want to go natural, and I also wanted to go as much unmedicated as possible. And I just knew that getting induced kind of would introduce more interruptions as far as pain management and stuff like that. So I was a little fearful of just not knowing what was going to happen. But anyways, get to the hospital on Tuesday at 6 p.m. and I got induced with Cervidil. So basically you sit with that in for 12 hours, and that kind of softens the cervix and kind of helps your Bishop score progress so that you can start going into labor. So the next morning when they took out my Cervidil, I was like 3 centimeters and about 50% effaced. And they were really happy with that. The doctor came in and checked me the first time, and she was like, well, let's go ahead and break your water, because I'd like to get you progressing before we start the Pitocin. So I said, sure, let's break it. And she nicked it, or so we thought, and it didn't like gush out. And she thought it was just because baby's head was already so low that she said that was completely normal. If baby's head is kind of low, that if you nick it, it might just leak instead of gush. So I was like, I don't know what this feels like. I've never had a baby before. So I said, okay. And which was a little deceiving because I did start having things come out down there, but not warm water like your water breaking. As I found out later what it actually feels like to have your water broken. So anyways, that was at 11 a.m. ish that they thought they broke my water. So from 11 a.m. and then all afternoon, they've been putting, I'm on Pitocin now, and they have me on the IV system and everything, so that, on the monitor system, so that I can walk around, because I, again, did not want an epidural, did not want pain intervention. So I wanted to be as mobile as possible. I really, really wanted to walk myself into labor, and just move and dance and sway and all the things. And that worked for quite a while. So I was at a 5 centimeters and about 70% effaced when they checked me every time after 11 a.m. So I think I got checked at like 1 p.m. and 3. And when they checked me both those times, I was still the same each time. I was at 5 and 70%. So I thought, I got a little discouraged at 3 o'clock when I found out that I was not progressing within those last 2 hours. So, oh my goodness. Oh. So anyways, doctor comes in and checks me at 5 p.m. She couldn't come in herself and check me because she had some scheduled C-sections to do throughout the afternoon. So the nurse was the one that was checking me. All the nurses at Blanchard Valley were amazing. No complaints there. But she was just checking me for my Bishop score. She was not checking my water or anything like that. So 5 p.m. doctor comes back. She's like, oh, that's the first thing she says. And I'm like, oh gosh, what? Because it's pretty uncomfortable every time they check you. They don't tell you that. Anyways, yeah. Pretty uncomfortable, especially once you're having contractions every 2 minutes. So, and laying on your back without an epidural, I thought I was going to die. So, she checks me at 5. She's like, honey. Oh. She was like, actually, your water was not broke. I was wrong. So she was like, we're breaking it now. Oh. Good job. So at 5 p.m. she breaks my water. Officially felt it. Now know exactly what it should have felt like the first time. So got warm water gush out everywhere. Anyways, so from 5 p.m. and little side note, the nurses change shifts at 5 p.m., 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. at Blanchard Valley. So at that point, my contractions after she broke my water, they were already 2 minutes apart, and they had been upping my Pitocin all afternoon, which I was not a fan of that, but I knew that's what we needed to do to have her. So anyways, as soon as my water broke, the contractions got a whole lot worse. Before that, I was able to breathe very well through them, and I didn't have to completely zone in on them and really, really focus. I remember I was laboring in the rocking chair for a little while and leaning over the rocking chair for a little while, and Joel and I could still talk to each other before my water was broken. But after was a whole nother story. I was focused beyond belief. I could not have any talking whatsoever. So the nurse comes in, and they always just check in, even though they got the report from the previous nurse. They always kind of ask you the same questions. And the nurse walks in at 5 p.m. and right after they broke my water, now contractions, I have no break in between contractions. and they upped it, my Pitocin at the same time too, twice. So that was a treat. So the new nurse comes in, and I said, ma'am, I am so sorry. I'm generally a very nice person, but I can't talk to you, and I can't have you talking. And she was like, understood. Like, she was very, very, they probably hear that often, or at least have gone through that before. I don't know, but she was so sweet about it, and she was like, got it. So then she upped my Pitocin even more. What a little welcoming treat from her. But I knew, again, we needed to keep things progressing so that I didn't have to be in that amount of pain all evening. So from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., I went from 5 centimeters to 9.5 centimeters dilated. And then from 8 p.m. to 8:21, I pushed. So I had her at 8:21 p.m., pushed for 21 minutes. The pushing was hard, but it was nothing compared to the contractions. The contractions from the last 3 hours, I did not have my eyes open. I had to, a lot of times they say contractions are like waves, and so you just kind of ride the waves, and you kind of get a break in between them. But because I was on Pitocin, I had no breaks, and now my body was also naturally producing what it needed to go into labor, and so it was like double time awfulness. I had no breaks in between. I did start getting sick, and you're probably asking, girl, why didn't you just get the epidural then? I, in my stubbornness, just really, really, really did not want an epidural. I will tell you, I think I was more scared of getting the epidural than giving birth. I think that's probably the main reason. The second reason would just be because I really wanted to have an unmedicated birth because of how my body typically handles pain meds. I always get sick. I never actually feel better from them. And I had heard, if they don't put the epidural in the right spot, it may not kick in. And I know past a certain point of dilation, you can't really get one, or it won't kick in before labor or anything like that. So, or delivery. So basically that was just my decision. Nothing against epidurals. You'll find out here at the end of the story that most likely most of my next babies will have to be C-sections, and I will have to get some pain meds then. So anyways, I am very glad that I was able to make it through, but I did start getting sick, but the nurses were all really excited that I was getting sick. They were like, yes, girl, yes, that means we're getting somewhere. Usually once you start getting sick, progress very quickly. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Not really, I was not that joyful. I was like, again, could not talk, could not open my eyes. Poor Joel just had to stand there and hold my hand every time I'd squeeze his hand as the contraction started, and squeeze in until it ended. And his poor hand, because I had no breaks in between them, I'm sure was throbbing, but so was my body. So, but anyways, so yeah, got through that. It was not fun, but like I said, I had to be on my feet laboring pretty much that whole time from the time they took out my cervidil. Just because I didn't have an epidural, laying on my back was the most uncomfortable thing ever. So, and then any time that I had to lay on my back to get checked and then get back up, that was extremely uncomfortable, that I just wanted to be on my feet. So, but being on your feet for laboring for 12 hours, my knees, I thought I was going to pass out, but I ended up towards the end, as I was almost to bearing down and getting ready to push, labored on the back of the hospital bed. So I was like on the hospital bed, leaning over the back of the bed, like on my knees, if that makes sense. That helped a lot, and she dropped a lot. I could literally feel her like dropping, because that breathing, even the nurses in the room were like, okay, she's getting ready to bear down. We need to start getting things prepared and ready for labor. So, they kept telling, don't bear down, don't bear down. But I was like, I can't help it. I can't help it. I think I screamed that at a nurse. I was like, it's happening. Oh, there's a lot of fun things. Okay, so anyways, they talked me through that and talking me through the breathing technique to kind of like not bear down quite yet. But then they rolled me over, called the doctor, and all at this point, when I finally opened my eyes and laid back on my back, everything was in the room to get her out and into this world. And there were several nurses in there. The one was a big fan of natural births, and she was amazing, amazing, amazing. If she could be a birth doula, I would hire her in an instant. She was awesome. And I forget okay, so they roll me on my back, and now I'm just about ready to push. She checks me, I'm at a 9.5, and she's like, I can get her to a 10 by whatever the doctor did. So she was not worried about me dilating that extra half centimeter. So she did what she did, and then they called in more nurses. They asked my husband, they were like, do you want a leg? He was like, no thanks, I'll hold her hand. So they called in a couple of nurses to assist, and then I started pushing. So at that point, it had officially hit 8 p.m. And I pushed for 20 minutes. Pushing was the most rewarding part of the whole experience, just because I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but we did not find out the gender of our baby until baby was here. So, and I still call her baby all the time instead of Lainey or Louie, because I'm just so used to not knowing if she's a boy or girl. So pushing was the most rewarding part, because I just knew that I was going to get to meet baby like literally so soon, but also just have that question answered. So pushing was like really fun. I remember the nurses were like, wow, that was a really good push. And Joel kept saying, good job, baby, you're doing so good. And whenever the nurses would say that was a good push, he would say it too. And I remember looking up at everyone, because again, my eyes were closed 90% of the time, just because I was so tired. The nurses were all like, good job, Ashley, that was such a good push. And I was like, thanks, guys, thank you. But anyways, that was the most rewarding part. And then things kind of got a little scary after that. Her head was officially like crowning, and I knew she was coming soon. I could feel her coming soon. That was also my favorite part, is I had complete feeling over everything, and was just able to know kind of exactly where to push and stuff like that, and or how to push and stuff. Yeah. So anyways, she got stuck. So her head is out at that point, and Joel was like, I did not think I wanted to see that, but he was like, it was so cool. And then all of a sudden they kind of got really frantic. The doctor, actually, frantic's not the right word, because they knew exactly what they were doing. But things just started getting more and more rushed. Like they were like, they called in some emergency pediatrician or something. And the nurses like kind of nudged Joel out of the way and like put my legs, he says, behind my head. I don't remember this, but like pushed my legs really far up towards my head. And then I just remember what I thought was the terror of all terrors as the doctor like literally scooped, like had to go in and scoop her out because her shoulders were stuck. And they were able to get one shoulder out, and then the other, and she slid right out. But the doctor, they had to basically cut her umbilical cord right away, and then she couldn't do skin to skin with me right away. They did put her on my chest. Oh, I'm missing the best part. Okay, so, well, let me come back to that. So they did let me do skin on skin with her for like a minute as Dad was cutting the umbilical cord, and then they had to hand her right off to the emergency pediatrician, because basically she said the best case scenario was that she would have just had to have broken her clavicle to get her out, which would have been the best case, she said. And then the worst case would have been that she would have got stuck even longer and ended up having permanent brain damage. But it was definitely the God case scenario, that she came out just fine. The pediatrician checked her over right away, and everything was fine. Nothing was showing any signs of anything wrong, and she was screaming like a happy baby, and I was just sobbing. And then Joel was crying too. He'll tell you, "Oh, I just shed a tear or two," but he was crying. And that was just sweet because I was looking at him as he was looking at her, because I couldn't really see her when they were working on her. So that was a really special moment, just kind of seeing him take that all in. And I was going to tell you how we found out that she was a girl. So the nurses all had bets that it was a girl. Joel and I, though, this entire pregnancy have been sold out that this was a boy. I don't know how I'll go through any other pregnancy and not like understand, or like, because like all of the things that they say, like the wives' tales and stuff about when you have a boy and how you carry and the things you crave and all those things, my friends that were having babies were having boys, and we were all experiencing the same thing. So I thought for sure this is a boy. I've never been so glad to be wrong, let me tell you. She came out, and I had told the doctor, tell us right away. I want to know. And she was like, well, no, we'll let dad announce it to everyone. So she pulls her out, she opens her legs and says, look, Dad, what's baby? And he was like, it's a girl. And that was when he started crying. And again, just sobbing. I have pictures. I don't know if I'll ever show them because they're pretty just special and intimate, but I just have pictures. I couldn't even open my eyes and hardly look at her because I was just sobbing. One, it was just like the moment of like all that hard work from the last 24 hours had just paid off, and this baby's in my arms, and I was just ecstatic. But then part of it was just like finally knowing that our little Lainey Lou was Miss Lainey Lou, and it was just so special. So yeah, that was labor and delivery, and then the induction and everything. We got to do skin on skin for 2 hours, and then she fed in that time too. And I'll have to do more videos on breastfeeding in the future, but that's just been very rewarding too. And that time with her has been really rewarding. And then of course Dad got to do some skin on skin too, so for quite a while. And then we got to hang out with her all night and every night since. Has this? Yeah. So how did we choose her name? That was another question that I got. So Miss Lainey Lou is I should have also known we were having a girl from this one thing that is not a coincidence, but is definitely a God thing. So I had a dream about, oh, she's filling her pants. I had a dream that we had a little girl, and in that dream her name was Lainey. And I've only known like one other person who's famous with the name Lainey, and in my dream, like it was also spelled out in my dream, like on like a name sign or something. So I woke up that next morning and I was like, babe, how do you feel about the name Lainey if we have a girl? Because we had our boy name long before. We kind of struggled agreeing on a girl's name. And Joel had said, I love it. So that was the first name we both agreed on. And I told him how I liked it spelled and how it wasn't that dream. And he's like, let's do it. So Lainey was just from a dream. And then the God moment in that is obviously the dream of mine, but also my mom texted me about a week later. She was at the hair salon, and she texted me a middle name, but it wasn't the middle name that we were gonna use for a girl regardless. Sorry, my husband is leaf blowing right outside this window, so but the girl's name, the first name was Lainey that my mom texted me, and she had texted me Lainey Grace, and we knew we were gonna use Lou for a girl just because we wanted to name her after my grandma Stearns, who is Rebecca Lou, and I just love the middle name Lou. Also, I wanted to choose a name based on the amount of nicknames that we had for her. So, Lou is where we got Louie. I call her Louie Girl, and Dad calls her Lulu. We also call her Lainey Lou a lot too. Dad calls her Lainey Lou Who. All the names. So, Lainey was from that dream, and then when my mom texted me that same first name, spelled the exact same, I was like, all right, that's our girl name. And then now we have this little bundle of joy, and her name is Lainey Lou. Yeah. So I think that's everything. You guys had asked me questions about. I really enjoy this mom life, so I would love to continue doing videos like this as I'm learning alongside with her. And again, this is our first baby, so we are no experts, and I know you guys have a lot of wise words and experience, and that I'd love to learn from and stuff too. So feel free to reach out with any more questions. Feel free to just shoot me some ideas of things that you might want me to talk about, or kind of ask questions about, because I also know that quite a few people, if they if not just had babies, are pregnant, that I know on Instagram and Facebook. So I would just love to kind of have a platform where we can openly kind of play around with some of these fun topics and talk about our experiences and what we've been through or are going through. And yeah, I just think that would be really beneficial. I watch tons and tons of parenting videos and like vloggers who talk mainly about newborns and raising kids and stuff like that while I was pregnant, and I just want to return that favor, and also remember moments like this as I talk about our little girl to you guys. So I love you all. I hope you guys enjoyed my birth story and just all that it entailed. And again, every birth is perfect no matter what it looks like. So there is no right or wrong, or better birth than others. At the end, we get to welcome these beautiful gifts from God, and it's all worth it no matter what it looks like. So all right, enjoy your Wednesday, guys. Bye.